Hello, my dear. I'm sorry
Hello, baby.
I've been
So
having
weird.
trouble with this light. It turns off on its own. How are you doing?
I am great.
So, we wanted to discuss about self-discipline today.
Yes, let's talk about that.
Yeah. So, I was asked by a student on how to create, like, how to be constant in applying something like a new schedule, like a holiday schedule. We were talking about preparing for the holiday, and I think it's not something that is restricted to being a dancer. It's very common across all human beings. We decide to, for example, we decide to work out in the morning, and then we wake up in the morning, and then we actually decide that we better sleep in. And that's just the way it is. It's just changing habit and creating self-discipline. And I have the feeling that we are kind of told that self-discipline just equals willpower. So if you don't have self-discipline, it's because you don't have willpower, you're weak, and shame on you. What do you think?
Oh, 100%. I don't think we've never taken actually apart self-discipline, what that really means, how we can set ourselves up for it. Discipline was always a really heavy word for me.
Mm-hmm.
It means me that if I'm not disciplined, I'm lazy.
Yeah.
What else? So,
And you're a bad person, definitely.
yeah, definitely that bad person. I'm not cut out for this, and I'm never gonna make it. Where I think discipline is actually setting ourselves up for freedom, even if discipline that we have to do the hard thing first in order to see freedom on the other side.
Yeah.
Also means showing up for yourself.
Yes, definitely, which was the topic of last time. I think a good step towards a healthier and more positive way of looking at self-discipline is looking at self-discipline as being autonomous, which is what you were talking about. It's really about me having the power to behave in a way that I want without anyone telling me, which to me is being autonomous. Not waiting for permission or an order or a demand by someone else to do something.
I love that, because for me, discipline is so beautifully put, and I think it is such a more freeing way on looking at discipline, because we look at discipline of what it comes at us in the dance community. It's an order, it's strictness.
Yeah.
It's stifling at times, because it does. And when we're looking at it something that is actually giving us freedom and making us more of what we're capable of, then it can absolutely be free. I love that light, by the way.
Totally. So I was thinking maybe it would be nice to talk about the benefits of acquiring self-discipline. And I feel that for me, the main one, there's many, but the one that was most relevant to me was not spending that much time debating, should I do it or should I not do it? Well, if I do it, this is going to happen. If I don't do it, this is going to happen. And actually, I spend more time thinking about that than going and do whatever I was planning to do, especially when it comes to going to the gym. And I'm like, well, wait, because if I go, maybe this and that, maybe if I go tomorrow, and what about tonight? And 3 hours later, I'm still talking to myself, wondering if I should go to the gym. Somehow eating chocolate was easier. Just what is for you a benefit of acquiring self-discipline?
Well, besides acquiring, let's say, a skill that I want to master, or I think it's to feel better, to be able to show up for myself and others in a completely different capacity, that I can trust myself, that I can rely on myself.
Yeah.
What else? You know what? The biggest one is that I can actually rely on myself. That so when I look back at my dancing career and as I just established, it felt heavy and a must, and like tar, like when we're picking up these tar pits, and if you get stuck in it, it just can't get out unless somebody really pulls you out. For me, it also has to do something with worthiness, feeling actually worthy of taking care of myself. And
that's great when you achieve something, right?
Yeah. Oh, it absolutely feels great, even though the process of it might be hard. But you can look at yourself in a completely different light once you accomplish it, I feel. And even if it's showing up in class every day. And I think the next step into being disciplined also means that knowing yourself and knowing your triggers, knowing your negotiation power, having tools and habits in places that will actually support you to be disciplined.
Yeah, I was planning to get to how we build self-discipline. That's
jumping.
Almost timely transition. There's one more benefit that I was thinking about that would be relevant, for example, for the student who asked me that question, is to actually be in control of your impulses and emotions, because you're building the habit of not acting on your impulses and emotions. And when I was thinking about that for this live, I actually made a note. But it doesn't mean suppressing your impulses and emotions, because sometimes they're good and sometimes you actually want to act upon it. And I think it's just adding that little tiny layer in between the something is happening, I want to act, that allows you to process what's happening, make a decision very quickly, and get better at making that decision very quickly. So what I mean by that is you're not acting impulsively on your impulses and your emotions. You are understanding them, processing it, and deciding, depending on what your goal is, what is the best.
I love that. Not being in a state, but being proactive and being in control. Yeah.
While still keeping that spark. I mean, we're not about to kill it. You just like keep this spark.
No, it doesn't mean that discipline means that, rigid.
Yes.
And then there's no room for magic. There's always room for magic, because that's on us, how we build our days, right?
Totally,
and you can still be free and disciplined.
Yeah, and I think this is probably also one of the reasons sometimes we're not letting ourselves get better at self-discipline. We feel that it's a bit rigid, but being self-disciplined doesn't mean you can't keep that workout or you can't eat that full chocolate bar from time to time. But you make a conscious decision of doing it and you accept the consequences of that, and life goes on.
Exactly. 100%. Yes. And so sorry for interrupting, but discipline process or becoming disciplined, it's a consistent daily discovery and not fight, but process.
Yes.
Some days are better than others, for example, depending on, let's say, how much sleep you've gotten, or how well you nourished yourself the day prior, or how well you emptied everything that really consumed you, or how you started the morning. These are that come into play.
Yeah. So when I was preparing the live, I was thinking about okay, so how do we help the viewers understand how to create a good self-discipline process, routine? Let's call it routine. And I was thinking the first step would be to know and understand what distracts you. What is preventing you from staying on that path? And, like a lot of things we talked about, it's about acknowledging, realizing, understanding, knowing yourself. And when you admit it and you accept it, then you can act upon it. But if you pretend it doesn't exist, there's no way you can grow. So for example, I was thinking about taking a funny example from my life. I was really struggling with chocolate. Meaning, if there is a tablet, I would just eat all of it. So that was the first step for me to realize that I just can't stop. I start with that one square, and there's another one, and then there's another one, and all of it. Always find it funny because now I don't have the problem at all. So for me, that's the best example from my life that I can think of. I definitely can not finish the tablet now. Yoo-hoo!
That's amazing.
But I had to admit that you can't stop. There's just like, you can't. So stop trying to tell yourself stop. It's not happening. So I had to find another way to get there. Then the second step would be to think about what are you afraid of? Because what I mean by that is when you're behaving in a way where you're not constant in that behavior, you're trying to protect yourself from something. You're probably afraid of something, or running away from something, or running towards something else that is not your stated goal. So what is it that you're afraid of? What are you afraid of losing? And to be honest with you, for me, I did enjoy those extra kilos, actually. They were my little safety cushion. So I wanted to keep them. It took me a long time to realize that I wanted to keep it. It was keeping me warm at night. Then I would say the third step is what do you have to gain? Because now that you understand what you're afraid of or what you're trying to run towards, what is your goal? And if your goal is really stronger than what you're afraid of, it will be easier for you to go towards that direction and recognize that the the behavior that is limiting you and preventing you from getting to your goal is not helping. So it has to change. And then when you understood what is stopping you, I would say remove all the temptation. I feel that sometimes with self-discipline, we're going like hard-headed, thinking, yeah, I can do it. Be kind to yourself. So in my case, I have stopped buying full chocolate tabs, and I was buying the small samples when it's just like 4 square, because I can't stop. But I would eat only 4, and that was fine. So I've really removed the temptation, and I do not try to beat myself up trying to do something that was way too difficult. And another example I see a lot is people are saying, yeah, I'm going to go to the gym tomorrow at 6 o'clock, but they wake up at 8. Like, how do you want to make that 6 o'clock when you're used to waking up at 8? Maybe try 7:45, or maybe try actually 8 o'clock and do 15 minutes. And then you'll see. But I think like removing temptation is the one thing that a lot of people don't think about, because I guess we feel it being weak. But I would totally say, no, just admit it, accept it, you will be much better at it. And then it comes from the same principles that make the new habit simple. So pack your bag the previous day, prepare your lunch in advance, maybe, so that you're not tempted. Again, it's also about removing the temptation. Make it simple. As I was saying, if you want to work out in the morning, don't try to wake up 2 hours earlier. It's way too much. If you want to start having extra activities, don't go maybe for 6 times a week you can do yoga. It's too much. You already have a full schedule. So maybe just half an hour is enough once a week. It's better than nothing at all. And then one thing I love is to create a visual that helps you track your progress, so that you can tell yourself, I've done it, I've done it, I've done it. And then the more you see you've done it, the more it's easier for you to tell yourself and accept and realize and change your belief. You can do it. And of course, you know what happened? There is this one day where you don't do it.
Yeah, and then get back on track.
Exactly.
I want to add to this, the setting yourself up.
Yes, please.
So important, because we tend to, as you already said a little bit, think of ourselves as so capable of completely changing 180 degree of what we're doing, and we're not understanding how much brain power and how much energy that actually takes. And then we're seeing the not accomplishing it as, oh, we're not capable, I might as well don't do it, and I am unworthy, I can't do it, and stop there without even looking at, did we set ourselves up for success? So if you want to go at 6 o'clock to the gym, make sure that the night before you put out your gym clothes, you have everything ready at the door, you have your alarm set, and you also go to bed at the right time.
Yes.
Buying a whole chocolate bar, just buy 4 little squares. And if you continuously, I would say, follow this new habit, after a while it will become your default, and then you no longer have to, how can I say that, work a little harder on implementing or being so consciously about that new behavior, because then it becomes a habit. Yeah. And that's with everything, like changing your behaviors or changing your habits starts with changing behaviors.
Yes. But the beauty is that it changes your belief, because soon you realize that you can do it. And so you move from I can't do it, it's too hard, to actually it's easy, I can do it. And new habit.
Your life, right?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. I just find, and I am guilty as charged. I tend to be impatient when it comes to change. I want it all now. I want it right now, without giving myself the grace that, hey, I've spent all of these years implementing this certain behavior or habit. It's going to take some time to unlearn it. And I think that's the unlearning or learning something always takes time. It always takes not succeeding right away, but it's in the consistency and in the you just got to do it every day.
The more you do it, the better you get at it, and suddenly you don't realize that you're doing it. And I think also the important one is, when you stop that habit, realize it as soon as possible. I can remember a time where I was actually going to the gym at 6 o'clock in the morning. I have no idea how I used to do it. I stopped when I moved back to France, because when I was in the UAE, there was a gym in every building. It was easy, actually. I would kind of roll from bed to the gym that was on my floor. And now sometimes I'm thinking, how did I do that? It seems so hard, so difficult, because building back this habit will require so many change again in my life. Whereas, for example, the chocolate one, I've used only real life examples today. The chocolate one, I'm completely fine. I have tablets of chocolate at home. I don't eat it anymore, because I moved to another habit, which was to just eat a little bit of it. And I don't think I would ever do it again. And so same thing, I look back at what I used to do and I'm like, how did I used to do that? That was crazy. But one is a good habit that I changed for something less healthy, but I guess I don't care that much about going to the gym at 6 o'clock that I don't do it. Whereas the other one, it was a habit that was not helpful and that I changed for something healthier.
There we go.
And I think when we today, because you're usually the one sharing.
Oh no, you're on a roll. I think today, I think there is so much that we're particularly seeing in the dance industry around habits and what habits we have established versus what kind of habits are really useful and helpful in setting us up for a better day, a better, year, a better summer, a better career, versus the habits that have been inherited over the decades of the industry existing. And I think that was my biggest learn with getting out, understanding that the habits that I had in place did not set me up for a great career, none whatsoever. And I did not have anybody to lean on to actually discover whether or not I'm setting myself up for success.
And also from what you said, I picked up, you know, that a better year, a better season, etc. Well, it starts now. You know, you can always wait for things to be better in the environment, but very honestly, it starts now. Your behavior of today is the change for your life for the future. Of course, there are things you can't control, but if you put all the chances on your side, then things will probably be better than if you don't, and you just wait and hope.
Well, but it's that exactly. You wait and hope, you know, the better contract, or when I get this role, I'm going to start doing this. No, it works. When you start doing this, this will be your, not price. What's a better word? That will be the outcome. That will be the result. Now.
Well, that was the topic of the last webinar I did with Forrest an hour on. That was the one on achieving success. And we actually took a real case study of a dancer who was waiting for someone to see something in them, which is something I hear so many times. And again, I took a real life example. I just mixed two people I know into one to make the case study a little bit more, so that people can relate to it depending on who they were and depending on where they were in their career. But it was really two dancers that I know who told me the exact same story, except that one was waiting for someone to see something in them and the other one had found someone who saw something in them. And we used that case study to explain that hope is not a method. You have to put all the chances to your side so that you're showing something that then people will see, not hoping for them to actually see that. Maybe deep down there is something in this one, maybe.
So I think it's that what we're seeing so much in the industry, it's that victim mentality, waiting for somebody else to see us and denying ourselves to see ourselves, because, you know, when we're really believing ourselves, then people could judge us and it's this whole ball of wax. But nobody's going to see us unless we see ourselves. Nobody's going to do the work for us unless we commit to that. Nobody will give us the gifts and give us a chance unless we're willing to give it to ourselves first. And that goes with everything else too. Nobody's going to change the habits that we have in place. Nobody's doing that for us. That's all on us. Nobody's going to change the industry.
No, but we can all change and the industry will change.
Exactly. So Dr. Joe Dispenza, I was listening to him last night, and in one of his webinars he was talking about, so he goes into corporation and he changes their culture, structure, and he works with like big banks and like Google and all of these A-level companies. And he said, you know, we're not going and change the company, because the company culture can't be changed unless the changed. And I truly believe that we can change habits, we can change the industry, we can change companies, or we can change our self-discipline unless we change something in us, on us, how we see it, how we are willing to show up or to change our perspective. And that goes with self-discipline, that goes with establishing new habits. If you're not having the willingness, if you think it is somebody else's job to live your life, then they get two and you get none. And I don't think that's the purpose of why we're here.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Okay, great. Did we get it all? I think so. Or do you
I think so. I mean, if there is no questions, I feel that it's an easy to understand process. For sure, it takes a little bit of practice to get there. But again, if you forgive yourself whenever you fell off track and just get back to it, then it will get better. For me, that's the most important in that process, is be kind to yourself while still seeing the road. Because don't be kind to yourself and go back to bed and do nothing and hope. But be kind to yourself and talk to yourself like you would talk to a friend.
Yeah.
Okay, go to the gym now. It's better to go 25 minutes than not at all.
Or even 2 minutes, right? Like, we really underestimate the compound effect that if you do 2 or 3 or 4 minutes a day, eventually you will see improvement.
I think it comes down to what is it that you're trying to achieve by doing that. Like
Right.
I was telling you, I feel that I actually don't care waking up at 6 o'clock to go to the gym, because I don't see any benefits for me at the moment. Everybody's different at a different time in their life. So what is it that you're trying to achieve? Are you
Right.
going to the gym to tick the box and say, I went to the gym? This is when you fell off track, because it's not meaningful. But if it is because, and that's back to showing up for yourself that we talked about in last chat, if you go because it makes you feel better, because there is a feeling that you have, some emotions, energy that you're looking after, then go for that. And you know what you need to do to get there. Does it need to be an hour at the gym? I don't think so. If you want to eat healthy, I don't think it should be just because you want to lose 5 kilos to get the perfect body. No, it has to be because of something deeper, of something stronger, something more meaningful, something longer. Because eating healthy makes you feel good, actually. It gives you the energy, it gives you the right mood.
I think we should talk about that, the knowing your why, not today, time, and why that is so important.
Well,
I can share from my own
perfect transition.
Yeah. Because when we lose our why, things become so, and
I'll write it down. Knowing your why.
know your why. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you.
Then we're going to talk about knowing your why next week. You're going to be closer to me next week.
I will be, indeed.
You're getting closer and closer and closer.
But then I fly back to West Coast.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's okay. I'll find you. I know where to find you.
Okay, my love.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining.